Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry, from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash,
Quit being bitches,
and Dale Hummel.
Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ryan, I haven't communicated with you recently. I'm assuming you're still at a major.
No, but I'm going back to another major tomorrow.
Home for a short period, very short.
72 hours, something like that. Yeah.
It's not bad. I get to head out to OYE here shortly. And for our listeners out there, we're recording, what is today? Sunday night. So a little current events may not be overly current, but hopefully still good.
Well, I have a current event that is current and has to do with the stock show world. And so I'm going to vent for a second. So since Dale doesn't look at social media other than when he posts a sale primarily, all this nonsense over the $1 million that the steer brought at Houston and the exhibitor gets gypped and all this stuff. Okay. I have issues with you people. First of all, us that live in Texas are spoiled, rotten brats if we complain about anything. We have 5 major shows in the course of 2 months. And you can enter and go to all of them, one of them, none of them, whatever you want to do. No one holds a gun to your head and says you must put something on feed and you must show at this one that this is all by choice, people. It's all by choice. Houston puts in their book how many are going to sell, what the guaranteed premiums are, how much each kid's going to get. And I will go on record. That is the only major show in Texas that you know what you're getting when you go in there. And y'all are all going to go on social media and say how this is unjust and whatever and all this other stuff and that all this money goes to inner city kids. And that's all a lie. They've given close to $15 million in scholarships, and almost $10 million of them have gone to junior stock show exhibitors. The others have gone to other exhibitors. But don't do that. Don't. It's stupid. It's petty. Every show has something they can work on. Houston just upped the money that you get this year. They're the only show that sends you a bonus check later at some point. And when COVID shut them down halfway through, y'all soon forget that Houston sent every exhibitor a check, even though when there wasn't a show. You forget that part, huh? But we're going to go up here and bash things because the Grand Champion Steer exhibitor didn't get 10% of what. Just stop. Okay, I am a Grand Champion Steer exhibitor of the Houston Stock Show. I got the same amount that young man is going to get this year. And it was many moons ago. I did not get a Houston Livestock Show scholarship. I did not apply for a Houston Livestock Show scholarship. I didn't apply for any scholarship because I didn't need them to go to college. And other kids did. Y'all taking this up as the hill y'all want to die on, it is dumb. It is petty. And you should be grateful if you live in this state that I have lived in my whole life, that we have 100% more opportunities for kids to show in this state at almost every level, but especially that we have 5 major shows in the course of 2 months. If you don't like the payout at Houston, guess what? Don't enter and don't go, but don't complain on social media.
You're right. I have not been on social media to see that.
It's been bullshit.
So I, as I just said, I wasn't on social media, but we may or may not have had a question and answer about that already. But I think you're ready for it. I think you're prepared.
It is just beyond. It is disgusting, is what it is.
The first that I didn't even realize was a big issue. Other than
yes,
the question that came in. So yeah, that and again, not looking at it. Can I assume some of them are taking the side that they're pushing the $1 million sale as if the exhibitor did get it? I don't assume they would.
No, nobody's saying that. No. Houston's not putting that out. Anything. No. It's just people saying that it's shitty that kid only gets $75,000 and whatever, not a percentage, not this. You know what you can get when you enter. And all of that extra money either goes back to junior exhibitors in some way through, they do give bonus checks, money goes to sale next year, or it goes to scholarships. And as I quoted, they have their figures on their website. You can look. It's like almost $15 million and 9-something million of it has gone to kids who are stock show exhibitors. That's a lot of money, period, going in scholarship. And they list the scholarships that they give that are only available to stock show exhibitors. It is all there and very transparent. So just stop. Just for the love of God, stop.
I think you've made that very clear. I think there's a lot of validity. Would you like to have 5
chances
at
making the sale in 2 months in Illinois?
Do you want to know?
I bet you would, wouldn't you?
Do you want to know what the Illinois State Fair does? If we were to happen to win the goat show,
they take half your money, don't they?
I'm going to say this. Yeah, and it's half of not very much money to start with.
But they still take
it's half. It's not good. And yes, and I mean, this is common, guys. 75,000 is amazing. And I want to speak on one other side of this, and I think Ryan's alluded to it, maybe not just as direct. Those on the scholarship committee and those out there raising money to fund not only the exhibitor that showed the steer, but all the money that comes in for all the scholarships. It is much easier to approach those businesses and individuals when you approach them that the exhibitor is going to get a pile of money, but it's also going to a lot of scholarships and being spread out over a lot of kids. And it just, that part makes it that much easier, guys. So there's, if it wasn't published in the book and everything that Ryan said, that here's a calf that brings $1 million and all of a sudden you thought you were going to get it and they said, no, you're only getting 75,000.
Then
sure,
I
get
be
it.
outraged
Yes.
like everybody else.
Yes, but that's not the case.
That is not the case.
Yeah.
This has been this way. I was the second grand champion steer exhibitor to not get the full check. Okay? I know these things, people. You're talking to somebody that has lived this life. So this has been around and around and around. And again, they bumped up the premiums, the auction sale money, guaranteed money this year. And God loved the Fort Worth Stock Show Steer Show. If you show steers in Texas, that is the bankroll if you can make it in those 10. And that's great. But it's not as good for sheep, goat, and pig exhibitors because they only sell a handful and all this other stuff. Houston is the one sale that you know going in there what you're guaranteed in every species. And I'm pretty sure they sell more in all the species.
Not just the champions and reserves, but all the way down through.
No, all the way. That's what I'm saying. You know. And you get a bonus check later. And these people I didn't get on social media. I didn't vent. I didn't whatever because I'll just do it on the podcast. It'll be fine.
I'm sure it'll continue until this drops, so it'll be good timing. It'll be perfect. That's a good current event. It's really good. I don't even know how to follow that one up other than I feel obligated to mention something.
Well, it's Dale's fault we're not doing a Beyond the Circus because he's tired. So there you go. That's my next current event.
I don't have, we're going to do one. I don't know when. Haiti. Have you heard anything about what's going on in Haiti?
No, don't know.
I've been away from the news, but my son Dylan informed me that, basically an overthrow of the government by the gangs in Haiti.
Oh, that's cool.
Not only the overthrow of the government, the gangs went in to their only federal main prison and broke in and released thousands of prisoners. And it's I'm afraid looting. I don't think there's any infrastructure for anything humanitarian aid trying to go in, and it's a mess. I think that's what you're going to hear a little bit on the news, that a lot of people are trying to make it to Florida. And under this situation, and I don't know what the government in Haiti was to begin with. I know the gangs turning things over and taking control is probably not good. But under a situation like this, if you're a good person or just a family in Haiti trying to get by, and this is going on and you can't go to the store and buy food or you can't get water, the infrastructure is going backwards, whatever's happening. And I apologize. I tried to research it real quickly before I jumped on here, and I did not get enough information on it.
I've seen nothing on Fox News about it. I'm just being
and I haven't watched a lot of it, but it's not good. And there are people trying to get to the U.S. And I assume under that situation, Ryan, if this is all accurate, what I'm hearing, I am more sympathetic to that person trying to seek political asylum or whatever they're trying to do than maybe not. If we're going to be granting political asylum to everybody. So yeah, hopefully that settles. But the fact they've released that many prisoners and it's pretty much under gang rule at the moment, I'm sure it is not good. We have the collapse of civility. It'd be kind of like Los Angeles, pretty much the big cities in California, right? Not much different.
I have not watched much news. Like I said, I was at Houston for, 17 years. I got home yesterday afternoon, which also I would like to point out that packing up my room after the Houston Stock Show, I put this on Facebook, it should be an Olympic event because Jesus Christ, that was crazy. Got home yesterday afternoon and here we are. And we have another week of stock shows to go. But I would like
to know your bill for your room in Houston.
Yeah, we're not getting into that. There is the little bit of news. Biden's got new shoes. And they're basically like anchors. And so they're called the Hoka Transport or something like that. I don't know. But
like anchors, like they're weighted to hold him in.
Yes.
So he are you serious? Is this a joke?
No, this is on the news. This is on Fox.
That's entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to work.
I don't know. But anyway, and so his shoes are in the news. And then Trump was at a rally in Ohio. He was talking about when he wins, the tariffs on the Chinese and the made in Mexico stuff, that those countries need to expect a bloodbath. So now all the Democrats have changed this into he's the end of democracy again because he used the word bloodbath.
Insurrection is what they're trying to tie into.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it was simply talking about the Chinese building car factories, electric car factories in Mexico, and thinking they're going to ship them all to the U.S. And he says he will put 100% tariff on it. But if Joe Biden is still in office, it'll be a bloodbath. That and that very similar context. It's not in that context through the mainstream media at this moment. I hope people can see through it, but I just don't know. I really don't know.
What is happening on your TikTok nonsense of it all? I have no idea.
So I saw a brief clip on that this morning. And Trump even came out on it. Remember, he was pretty anti-TikTok, but he's a little concerned, as are some senators, that we're infringing on our freedoms. And I can't argue that at all. But I still think there's going to be some adaptations to it in the Senate, and I think it'll be more directed. Here's exactly why we're doing it. Not necessarily because they're manipulating the minds of our youth, which I think is as big of an atrocity as you can get long term. And if we think that they can't build those algorithms to indoctrinate our youth into whatever general direction, I'm not saying totally change them, but give them a strong push in a direction, we're crazy, because it can be done, and they're so glued to that phone. It can happen. I believe they're going to make it, because China is our lead adversary, because they know every keystroke, that something will get done. I assume changing ownership will probably be what it is. But there is a case there that, well, yeah, TikTok's probably going to influence our elections. They probably are going to manipulate the minds of nearly all of our youth in our country and work it to their advantage in whatever direction they so choose. But guess what? So is Meta or Facebook and Instagram. I think with Elon at X, I think that's probably taking care of it at the moment. So it's a very, very difficult issue. And you know where I obviously stand on China, and they should not have access to all of our personal information. They should not have access to our young people's minds and allowed to manipulate them in terms of what some of their opinions are and so forth during that time, or even as adults. I don't know that it should just be young children. I'm sure it's when adults are being manipulated as well. Now, are there businesses on TikTok that I think it's a great advertising tool? Let's just get rid of Chinese ownership. Get it in this. Let Elon buy it. That's what we need. Give it to him. Don't even have him buy it. Just give it to him, and we'd be fine. That's where we are. I think there'll be a modified version of it in the Senate that I assume at some point will pass, but I don't know. So much for the hot cops. That's what I got to say for you.
This is so the Senate hasn't voted on it. Is that where we're at?
They have not. No, the House has passed it, but I don't even know that the Senate's going to, and I don't know the process exactly how it works. I don't know if they're ever going to take up, or if they have to at first, the actual version the House had. or modify it and then vote on it. I'm not sure how the mechanics of that work, but I know there are some senators on both sides, I believe, of the aisle, and it was bipartisan in the House, but there's also bipartisan opposing some of the things, into probably for different reasons. So I don't know where it's going to end up, but I just, and Ryan, I know where you're at on TikTok, and I think you know where I'm at on it. It truly, truly concerns me. And I know we're going to use the legal standpoint that they can follow every stroke every person is making, which is ridiculous. I don't know what they're going to do with my personal information or your personal information, but it's probably not a good idea for them to have nearly all the populace of the United States activities, and most of our activities are on the phone. But I feel very strongly that the way they can manipulate algorithms and influence people through that as their main source of news, we just can't let the CCP control what's going on there. That's the bottom line for me.
It'll be interesting. Has Biden weighed in on what he would do on signing it?
He will sign it. He will sign the bill.
Okay.
He would sign the version that went through the House. Now, okay. I think he's, when he says that, I'm not going to be surprised if he backpedals, because as you can imagine, what's that going to do for his younger vote? That's about all he's got left.
Whoa, it's going bye-bye.
So I'm going to guess that they're going to, maybe they'll stop it in the Senate so he doesn't have to follow. It's not a good idea for it to land on Biden's desk for Biden, is my opinion. No. So I predict they're going to try to stop that somehow. No, I think it'd work out great. He would, the younger population, that in itself would take his vote away.
Have you been following any of the Princess Kate scandal?
I know nothing about that. Zero.
Well, for all you royal family watchers or whatever, basically she's been MIA since December, and now there's not. You think Dale Hummel is a conspiracy theorist? You just type in Princess Kate's name, and you will get every conspiracy theory you have ever known to man.
Missing, since she's usually not missing for more than an hour or two.
No one has seen her. There have been fake photos like the palace has sent out edited photos. There is people think she got murdered. She died in the hospital. It is something and again, it has been mid-December, I think they said, since anybody has seen her live. So very interesting.
I'm okay with that. Maybe she needs to stay wherever she's at. I hope you're not dead, but it's okay if you're in hiding. It's okay.
You're such a nice person.
Do you have any BTR JLA results?
I do. I've got to get through next week, and then I will be much better at all thing else in my life. But I did, since I had nothing last week, I did come up with something today. And Greg McCrew of McCrew Equipment Company is going to be the national cattle sponsor again for this year. Greg is very busy, and he had originally told me that he wanted a different write-up for his ad for this year. So I'm giving you this one for free, Greg, just because you were the first person I thought of my 3 little sponsors that I have so far. McGrew Equipment Company is proud to be the BTR JLA national cattle sponsor. McGrew Equipment is located in Seven Valleys, Pennsylvania, and is one of the largest used farm and industrial equipment dealers from the Northeast. Their weekly hybrid auctions allow for both in-person and virtual bidding. As a full-service auctioning company, they offer virtual sales, off-site sales, complete liquidations, inventory reductions, and estate sales. Let McGrew sell for you. Thank you, McGrew Equipment and the McGrew family. I appreciate that very, very much. That's the 3rd year that they have been a sponsor. Because I did not have the time to go back and see what the last top 10 I gave. I'm just starting over. So we're going to do the national all around. And Dale will be very, very upset because it's all Arizona pretty much. But anyway.
I think it's good that Arizona has that many shows. I assume in the middle of the summer they're not, because it's too damn hot.
Shelby Vincent is in 1st from Arizona. 2nd is Elmer Hambrick from Arizona. 3rd is Cameron Shelton from California. 4th is Callie Simpson from Arizona. 5th is Hannah Jones from Mississippi. 6th is Wiley Holly from Mississippi. 7th is Jackson King from Mississippi. 8th is Audrey Callens from California. 9th is Adele Simpson from Arizona. And 10th is Lacey DeSmith from Arizona. See? So I did have some
No,
news
that was
for you.
Mississippi Dixie National results, obviously.
Yes, they are in. They are well, see, this is the time of year that Mississippi has all their district shows, their county shows, and the Mississippi kids are good about getting the districts and the county sanctioned, and of course Jackson, Dixie National sanctioned. So yeah, we got some Mississippi kids in there. California, it's a busy time of the year for shows out there. So those 3 states are kind of dominating right now. It will all even out eventually. Everybody calm down.
It will eventually even out. I think there's still obviously some states that have a lot more shows. Texas maybe than a lot of other states. Now, Mississippi, I think the Hannah Jones, Ryan, that there was a doe that I think she had for me that might have helped her points a little. You could give her another little bump, maybe.
No, I can't.
A couple points
Sorry.
up. Good girl, good family. Well, no, we're good. I'm going to happy to give a shout out to the one and possibly the only low cost, high return stock show product in the market, ShowFresh H2O. It is common that show stock do not drink chlorinated water when it shows, nearly as well as what they do the well water from home. With ShowFresh H2O, this is no longer an issue. You can purchase ShowFresh H2O at your local farm store, Show Supply Trailer, or swampfox.com. Thank you, ShowFresh, for your continued support of this podcast and the junior livestock industry. Ryan, we sometimes forget things, myself more than you, but we did the do's and don'ts last week, and we're going to do the second half of it this week. You do remember now that Clifton said we had already done one of these, so I guess.
No, I knew we had already done one, but it had been a couple years, and I had things that I needed to say.
Got it. Okay.
We're over 200. If you don't think that we've repeated a couple of things, refreshers are okay. So we're never going to talk about showmanship again, and we've done that 900 times.
I was not. I can't say I wasn't aware. I did not recall doing it, so I was coming up with the number like 2.5 on this one or something. Do's and don'ts continued. Maybe that's appropriate. And I'm sure there's some of them the same, but I can't tell you that I remember that title prior to. Obviously, talking about these things and some of these things we've talked about in other episodes.
We're at episode 205. Dale, you can't remember what day of the week it is.
Is that what it was? I would know. But when did we do it? Like episode 20, maybe? I don't know. Well, I'm ready.
You can't remember what day of the week it is most days, except unless it's Tuesday, sale day. So I'm not surprised that you forgot that we had this title once before, but it was a long time ago and it needed a refresher. And I don't know, a lot of people liked it, I think. So, and I didn't get through my list. And so I guess we're going to have Do's and Don'ts 2.0 part 2 this week.
Now I have because
I have a topic for next week. I have a topic for next week.
Can you make me aware of it? Can you let us know now?
Not yet. Nope. Because we have to get through all the major shows first. So that way nobody can say that we're talking about them. Get through all of them. Then I have a topic for next week.
Oh, they're going to know anyway.
You don't have to. I am more than happy doing it by myself. You can just sit at home and listen like the rest of the people.
What I'm saying is I don't mind. It's okay. Just it's okay. You just don't use her name and it's fine.
Well, that's why I said it's going to be next week. All the shows were over, so nobody can say that we were talking about this show or that person or this whatever. No, see, it'll all be over completely.
I can come on a very positive note that I thought the last, and I'm gonna toss it right out there. The last 2 majors in terms of the goat shows that I attended and watched, Ryan, which you tell me I never watched the show. I did watch many classes. I was excited they were talking skeletal integrity and actually placing emphasis on it, unlike they have in a very long time. I compliment those 2 majors for bringing judges in that were doing such. I have a feeling yours is not going to be as positive next week.
I'm not saying you don't even know if it's about judges.
No, I don't. I'm just saying in general. I have
mine will not be. Mine will not be positive. No, it will not.
I'm sure
Mr. Rainbows and Butterflies in the Midwest. Just don't tune in next week because you're not going to like it.
Something hit a nerve, is what you're saying.
My nerves. My nerves are done. Shot. Gone. Goodbye. I have none left.
Well, where are you on your do's and don'ts? I don't know which ones we've done and which ones we haven't.
Well, I have about half my list left. And like I said, I looked up to when we were the last one, like, we're already over an hour here, so we may have to either just whatever. This next one is a big thing for me. And I want to first give a shout out to everyone that is a photographer at a livestock show. I think that you have probably the worst job in the world because you have to deal with every single person, not only at the show, but with their ordering pictures, all this other stuff. And I just think that you have the worst job at the show. And normally all of you do it, or the very large majority of you do it with a smile on your face and you try to be pleasant. And I would probably stab people if I was y'all. I'm just being real honest. So my personal shout out to the people that do the photography at all these shows, no matter county fair, jackpot, major show. Thank you for what you do. It is an art. It does require thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment and training and all this stuff. And by and large, all of these people were raised up in this industry and have a love for photography and want to do stock show photography. So give these people a break. But my thing is, for the love of everything holy, buy the damn photo. Just buy it. Every time I see a screenshot with a watermark put up on some type of social media, I literally want to go and bomb that person's house. It just drives me crazy. Like, if you're going to take the time to screenshot it and all this other stuff, you can put it in your cart and pay for it. Just the same. Just the same. Just buy the damn photo. You are stealing when you do that. I want you to know you are stealing. You are.
And I would like to jump in right on that. It is stealing. I commend them from the standpoint, and just because we just came off of Houston and then obviously all the majors. But I think a lot of the majors, every sale goat's getting a picture. I mean, there's I don't know how many pictures they've got at a backdrop over the course of a day or a week or the entire. It is an incredible number, and for the most part, like Ryan said, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. And those photographers are so dang patient, yet they're trying to move through them as efficiently as they can. And I rarely see them lose their temper, Ryan. And I don't know how they don't, because that has to be the most challenging job that I see in the stock show arena associated with it. I know that may be a big statement, but it just is, because it's a battle. And I can think of many times when I'm at the backdrop, whether judging or helping a family or with my kids or whatever it is, and it doesn't always go real well, and we're there longer than we should be trying to get that one good picture. So yes, thank you. Don't steal from good people. How's that, Ryan? Do not steal from good people. Steal from somebody else.
The other part of it that I love, again, these people, this is what they do for a living. They have training, all this other stuff. And so, like, every backdrop pic, there's like one or two people that are trying to tell the photographer how the animal needs to be set up or whatever. I'm like, first off, you're standing over here with me, bud. You don't know what it looks. Just let them do it. And they always show somebody, whoever thinks they're in charge, the image when they get done. And like, are you satisfied with this? So let them do what they think. And if you go over there and don't like it, then they'll change it up the way you want it. But just let them do their job. And for the love of God, be nice people. It wears on me. It wears on me. But the next one kind of goes into my rant at the beginning of the current events. I want more of us, and I think you should and do, thank show management and volunteers for their help and their service. And I don't think any of us do this enough. I know I do not. I should more, and I'm just going to give perfect example. Like, there's a lot of people that don't like the stick committee at Houston Stock Show, and they put up memes and all this stuff. And I put up the one that send the stick committee to the border. Nobody's getting across there. And I did think that was funny, and it's not just them, but everybody, like a lot at every show, no matter what size, most of the people are volunteers. They're not getting paid. And even the people that do get paid, I have been around people that have run shows my whole life, big, small, all the way in between. And if you knew the number of times that anybody came up and said thank you to those people, you would die because it is probably like 0.5% of the interactions that they have at the show. It is always an ass chewing or a complaint or why are you doing this and all this other stuff. And so thank those people. Just it's not that hard to do to say thank you, because why none of us are going to agree with everything that happens at any show. You can also be grateful for them being there, having the show happen, putting the show on. And while everything may not have gone right, very few shows is every single thing a disaster. So some things they did right. So thank them for that.
There are the occasional one or two.
I didn't say, I said, but the large majority, they're not all.
What did you call the yardstick people?
The stick committee.
The stick committee. And
Yeah,
that
that's what
is that the real name?
Yes.
I like that. So I'm out of curiosity. When I'm trying to at the Goat or Lamb show, trying to go from one side of the arena to the other, and they're loading on the truck. That's the only time I get interference with the stick committee at this point. But Ryan, go back in time. I'm going to say all the way. You're not going to like this. Back into the 80s. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can remember that. What was the other facility before we came to this one?
Astra Hall.
Astra Hall. Yes.
Yeah.
I can remember
the Astrodome and the Astra Hall.
Yes. The Astra Hall, trying to walk through there, the cattle area. And yeah, it was the stick committee there were way more of them, and you could not get from point A to B ever. Do you remember? Am I not remembering this correct, or was there a lot of them?
I'm not like trying to say that I'm not old because I know I'm old, but I do remember. I think it's always been this many. It just seems like to me.
See, I thought there was even more in the Astra Hall than here, but maybe that's just yeah.
I think the reason why you're saying that is the Astra Hall was a circle.
Yes,
and so when you don't go in the cut, when sheep and goats are on the far end, you only encounter them there. When you were in the Astra Hall, they were a circle, so you ran into them all the time.
Every time you went anywhere, you were waiting on somebody to walk a steer through or anything through. Yeah, they at that time there were some of those that were kind of mean.
Hey, I like the stick committee. I know lots of them for a long time. I like them, and I think they do. I would much rather have those people there doing that than trying to fight off the fair goers.
Yes,
I'm just saying.
I'm with you. That they serve a purpose, and I appreciate them. And they're fine now, just fine.
And the don't on this end, and again, I've probably alluded to this already. Don't cause a scene or act an ass in person at a show when something doesn't go your way or doesn't happen the way, whatever, all this other stuff. And don't get on social media and start bashing and all this. It serves no purpose. Now, if you want to go up to whoever is in charge, or you want to email them, or any of these things, and have a rational, sane, calm discussion or email with those people about what you think could be done better or could be changed, or you would like an explanation on why they do that, I don't think there is anything in the world wrong with that at all. I'm not telling you just to sit there and not speak, but be calm, be rational, all these things. Don't go to social media and just bitch for the sake of bitching. And so I would tell you, little keyboard warriors, just stop. And for the people that are the ones that cause the scenes at the show, yeah, just go outside, take 10 deep breaths and rethink it.
Great advice. I'm with you on that one. I'm good.
Good. You have nothing to add.
No, I think you've covered it. The rant earlier kind of took care of it, but I have not been on social media to see all the ranting about the steer.
Well, it just wasn't that. It's just all over. I mean, but yeah, just in general. I mean, again, I had these all typed up before there was a Grand Champion steer selection at Houston because these were supposed to be last week. So that was just a general comment.
It was good timing, by the way. Good timing.
Yeah. Next one, and this is probably going to step on some toes, and that's okay. Do be humble in victory and gracious in defeat. And I'm gonna go out and say this. I am talking more to the exhibitors than anyone else on this, because I don't like to bring it up. I don't like to be this person, but I have seen my fair share of behavior that I don't want to see in a ring. And somebody, I think Dale got some flack over when we did the true product of livestock shows or whatever, that we didn't bring this up. And I said, well, I didn't bring it up because I'm really not feeling it right now. I think is when you told me that people, whatever. And I'm not telling you to be happy when you win, because I think you should be ecstatic. But there's a way you can conduct yourself that you can still show your emotion and all that and be humble. And my thing on this is the gracious in defeat. This needs to be talked about some, because it doesn't matter if I am a judge and see it or a spectator on the side see it. I have stated on this podcast more times than I can remember, you have no idea how many pairs of eyes are on you at a given time. And some of the people in the stands, but primarily the kids, I am the most competitive person that you'll probably ever meet. I absolutely despise losing. You just got to suck it up. And if you want to get in your parents' truck and scream and yell and bawl and squall until you feel better, I get it. I have done it. But when you're in that ring in front of God and everybody, you've got to find a better way to handle it.
I'm with you, Ryan. And as a livestock enthusiast, a breeder, a judge, a parent, whatever direction I want to take it, that there is nothing to me that forms a more negative opinion. I'm not saying nothing, but in general, when I see that happening, the issues when they're beat and throwing a fit and being disrespectful toward the judge and the whole everybody involved that's watching them, that forms an opinion in my mind. Even if I had a decent opinion of that person prior to, I can promise you that opinion changes for the negative very, very quickly. And there's going to come a time, not just because I'm the one forming that opinion, but as Ryan said, all the eyes that are on you, that will come back and bite you in the ass. I'm not saying just in the show ring. Maybe it's a job interview. Maybe it's something totally different, but it will come back because it does not put a good image in anybody's mind that I'm aware of. So just be smart about it. The person you're hurting is yourself.
Right. And the don't is the same thing on this. Don't be a gloating and obnoxious winner or a shit-talking loser. And I say this when I judge a lot. And it doesn't matter if it's in person or whatever, all this other stuff. I think everybody should try to put themselves in other people's shoes and think before you speak. And think about if you were the parent or the grandparent or whatever, or the kid that saw somebody throwing a fit when they won, and that was your kid's moment in the sun and their time that they had won, how would you feel if you saw somebody talking shit or all this other stuff about your kid's win? You would be madder than hell, and you would have every right to be. So when you're in that moment, and I get everybody puts a lot of time, effort, and energy in this. Everybody wants to win. I understand. But just remember that you and your actions might be spoiling the joy of a child and a family that has worked very hard to get to that moment right there. So just think about that before, again, you do something that you're going to regret later.
Absolutely. Very, very good one, Ryan. And I don't think that I don't think people are as aware of the negative connotation that it brings, and not just at that moment, but it's going to be imprinted into many, many people's minds that watch that situation unfold.
Oh yeah. And I'm just telling you, as someone who judges a lot, and I talk to a lot of judges or whatever, we all notice that kid that has an attitude when they get beat, and nobody forgets it. Nobody does. You just don't. But
exactly.
And I think this wasn't a question and answer, or I know we've talked about it on here recently. Do shake the judge's hand at the appropriate time. And I'm going to say the appropriate time is whenever that person is not giving reasons on a mic. A lot of people say wait till the end of the show. Well, some people don't stay till the end of the show. All this other stuff. If that person is done giving reasons, you won't walk up, shake their hand. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think that it is always good and correct to do that, because just as Dale and I were talking by text a little bit earlier, no one makes money judging stock shows. No one. And they are giving up their time, their expertise, away from their family, away from their business to do this for that set of exhibitors of their show. And you should be grateful, and you should show your appreciation by shaking that judge's hand and at the appropriate time. Do not shake the judge's hand while they're in the middle of giving their reasons. And we've gone over this before, but I wanted to bring it up again because I saw a lot of kids just at the Houston Stock Show try to do it here the last couple of weeks. And they have, interns and stuff that, don't let it happen. But that is not the time. And at any show, it's not the time, because that judge is trying to convey his or her thoughts and why, what they see in the animal, why they aligned them that way, all this other stuff. And that is what they're going to be judged on by all the people at the show. So they deserve to fully concentrate on that at that time. So do not do it. I don't care what species you show. Don't do it while the judge is talking. Just wait till after. And there you go. That's where I'm at on that.
No, and very good. And I see the same thing all the time, Ryan. I know, talking to other judges, and someone's not going to buy you that much, but it makes it a little less. It's not as easy for the judge to continue to focus and say what they want to say and still be courteous to the person, because you're giving reasons and something, trying to look the person in the eye that they're shaking their hand and be genuine. It just doesn't work all at the same time. And as far as the sheep and goat side, when the judges are pulling those top 5 out to talk them, and I appreciate it, because I believe Houston and maybe even Austin, the majors were doing this more and more. They're leaving all 5 of those kids out there until they're done talking those 5. And then that's great. Walk up to that judge with your animal on your way out the ring. It just works. But as we pull 5 out, the judge talks about the first one, and you approach that judge while he's talking the second one. I think that's exactly what Ryan's talking about. Is it's just not a positive time to necessarily do it. But no, I'm not opposed to shaking the hand. And I know that a lot of exhibitors are doing that, and you're told to do so. And it's fine. I'm not upset when you come and do that to me. And I'm sure Ryan isn't either. But I think in an ideal situation, try to avoid doing it while they're given reasons. Very, very simple. Nothing great if you can wait around until after the show. That's wonderful. And I understand some are gone, and some are maybe never going to be able to shake that hand because of such. And it's okay. We understand. It's okay.
So the next one, if you are lucky enough to be in a backdrop pair with the judge, because normally the judge is only in the ones that make grand overall, ridge overall, top 5, whatever. Do be grateful and be a normal person during that time, and don't be crazy. I mean, if you're lucky enough to stand in a picture with the judge, you've done pretty well. Or if you ask that judge to stand in your picture, you've asked that person to be there. So this is not the time to talk shit or say how you won the weekend before and beat that one that beat all this other stuff. If you don't want the judge in your picture because you're mad, then don't have them in there. But if you're going to have them in there, just try to be a decent person at that time, even if you're mad. Because there are other people that didn't get that backdrop picture with that judge that would have really, really liked it. And so backdrop pictures are the most awkward, awful, horrible part of judging a show. And I promise you, using that time to tell the judge what you think or how you beat the other ones or we've won 3 weekends in a row or whatever, that doesn't make it any better.
Not productive time.
No,
I'm with you. Awkward doesn't do any good, sets a negative tone. Just, leave it alone. And if you don't want to get your picture taken, that's fine. Don't. That's your.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, I don't think that's going to look real good either. But and you don't have. You can tell the judge you don't want him in the picture. Again, I don't think that's going to look real good either. I do think that you.
I don't know about that part.
I do think you could suck it up for the 5 minutes and just keep your mouth closed. I mean, trust me. I can read a room really well. I know if you're mad without saying a word. So if it's me, you don't have to say anything. I can read it. Okay.
I got it figured out. I've got
Yeah.
it.
This is for exhibitors. Do ask the judge what you can improve on in terms of showmanship or how to better improve your animal. I get asked this a lot. And I think over the past year, I probably got asked more than ever before. And I'm okay with that. Again, it needs to be at the appropriate time. I am fine because the only way you learn is to ask questions and find out if there's something that you can improve on in terms of showmanship, or is there something in terms of feeding or management that can make your animal better? And this goes for parents too. I get asked a lot by parents too. The don't is don't be angry, pissy, or dissatisfied when you get honest feedback. And I can't speak for any other judge other than myself, but when people come up and ask me, I am going to shoot you 100% straight, and I am going to tell you the truth. And if that animal is poor structured, and I tell you, no, there's nothing really that you can do to fix it because it's structure, and there is no fix for that, don't get mad at me. I didn't pick out your animal. I didn't purchase the animal. Whatever, like, so that doesn't work. And again, this is not just me. I've talked to several judges over the course of the past couple of months. They're like, yeah, and then you tell them, because they're like, are all these kids coming up and asking you what they can do to be better, or how they fix their animal? I'm like, yeah, it's happened a lot more than whatever. And then you tell them and they get angry. I'm like, yes, you're right. So if you want to ask, be prepared, because I'm just going to be real honest with you guys and gals. The people that are Grand or Reserve champion aren't the ones asking this. It's normally the ones that are down in the placings in the class. And so when a judge is honest with you, don't get mad. Just say, okay, thanks, and move on.
And I think sometimes those are the more inexperienced exhibitors or families or whatever, and they genuinely want to know what they can change. But it's interesting that you made that comment about, well, it's skeleton's wrong. We're just, there is no fix. And Ryan's absolutely right. There isn't. I mean, the only thing you're going to fix at that time, if you got a show in another few weeks, if maybe one's a little too fat, we can take some body fat off, or if one's a little skinny, let's feed a little harder. But we're not going to change muscle overnight. We're not going to change skeleton probably ever. So it's hard. And unfortunately, when you come up and ask a judge, what can I change about them? There's not usually a simple fix. Does that make sense?
No.
Very difficult.
Right. I'm just saying, I think most people are going to give you an answer, and you may not like the answer, but you asked the question. They did not walk up to you and go, excuse me, little boy, this is what you need to do. Your animal, whatever. You asked the question, take their feedback, and roll on. Enough said, I guess, on that. This has been wearing on me a little bit. Do, as a judge, find something positive to say about every showman or animal when you're on the mic. And I know we don't discuss all the animals in the ring or all the showmen in the ring, but even if you go up 1-on-1, in every showmanship contest I judge, even the kids that don't make the gate, I go up to them, I said, hey, you know what? You did this really, really well, but this is what you got to work on to make the cut. A lot of times, like when we're doing sheep and goats, or when we only keep 10 hogs, or, whatever else, I'll say, you know what? This one had great muscle, hocked the ground, not good enough to stay in the ring, but good job, whatever. Start with something positive. I think that's very, very important, because everyone needs to know that they did something, or there's something good about their animal. And I am not going to lie to you. A lot of times it's hard to find something. I get it. I've been in those situations. You can and you should find something. Do not, as a judge, be overwhelmingly negative and critical about animals and showmen. I've been at a stock show this whole year, and there's been a lot of times in many different bars, and people think that I just go to the cattle or whatnot. I travel around at these things. I witness it all. So I just don't understand how we have a class winner at a major show, Texas major show, and you say 2 good things about it and then rip the poor animal to shreds after that. I don't get it. And then there's been a lot of times this year that I have heard some comments about showmanship on the mic. Some of them, I think, could have been taken one way or another. And then some, I was like, that's not right. And I have mentioned comments. I have commented when I am a judge about an animal not cooperating or showmanship or whatever. But there is a way to be tactful about it, and there's not. And I'm just telling you, I think that line's getting crossed too much.
I would agree with that 100%. And I can think back, and I've obviously been at the majors as well, and a lot of people complimenting a lot of animals, but there's a lot of time and a lot of effort put into these. And we tend to get to that point, Ryan, and I'm going to speak for myself, very guilty. And especially when I'm down in my barn looking at animals that we're getting ready to sell, I can find problems with all of them. And I continue to compare them all back to that one that I may never raise, that may never exist. And it is easy to get negative, but by gosh, these animals have been bred for many generations to hit the show ring. We can find some good things in the top end for sure. And I think we need to find something, even if it's difficult to say, through that mid range and lower into that class. No question.
No. And the next, I mean, we're winding down the list here, but and I have said this, and I will say it again, and I will continue to say it till my dying breath. And like I said, this is not aimed at anybody. These last 3 things are just general. Do judge with honest and integrity, and don't be a politically motivated sorter. And I can't tell you how important that is. And I will tell you, the last 6 months, I think it has been brought up to me more and more and more than I can even imagine. And not even so-and-so is a political piece. It's just in general more. That people have come up to me and is like, what do we have to do to get this under control? And I'm sure I get it a lot more than most people, because Dale and I have this platform of this podcast that a lot of people listen to. And so I am sure that I am getting inundated with this more than other people. But it's out there, it's real, and we've got to do better.
If we want to see this industry continue, we have to do better. There is no choice. And maybe, I don't know if it's the worst it's ever been, but if I had to sit back and say, is it as bad now as it's ever been? Yeah. And I like Ryan, I'm getting approached a lot. And again, I'm sure because of the podcast, but I can step aside from that and use my own eyes and do the math and put together some of the things that maybe should not be happening. And look at the stock and listen to what they have to say. And there's issues. And those good livestock families that are dragging to these shows and they don't have a chance, no matter how good a one they bring in there, or they won't get an honest opinion of that one or an honest description of that one for whatever reason, they're not going to continue to do it. They just aren't. So I take it even a step further, Ryan, that I think for the absolute health of our industry, we've got to do better.
I agree. These next 2, this is for everybody out here. It doesn't matter if you're an exhibitor, a family member, a broker, breeder, seller, show management, whatever. These are just general, and they're going to sound pretty simple and pretty plain, but I just need to stress it. Do be honest and don't lie. If we would do this a lot more in every single facet of this industry, Dale was just talking about the health of the industry, we'd be a lot better off. And it is, and there's no industry that you can go to and point at and say, oh, this is the picture of what it's supposed to be, because everybody is honest here. Nobody lies. But I'm just talking about what we need to work on. And we do need to be more honest, and we do need to lie less. And that goes to everybody. And I could sit here and list you 100 examples of that in the last week. I'm not going to do it, but I could. But everybody can play a part in this right here.
I like that one, Ryan, and it's there. And it's not just this industry; it's all of them. But let's work on our own. And
right.
I think that's a very clear picture of where we're at. And maybe it's not any worse than anything else, but we can always do better with it, and it will help every facet of that. And from a seller's perspective, from an exhibitor, it doesn't matter what segment of the industry. I promise you that in I can just use my situation as an example. From selling animals, if I call somebody up or they call me, or whether I'm writing a sale description or whatever it is, if I do my best to describe that animal as I see it, those people are that much happier with that animal to get it. They're going to come back and buy another one. It just benefits you. If you mislead somebody, yeah, you may get that one-time sale, but they're not going to come back. It's just that simple. I can assure you that online sales get beat up more than any other form of auction, because as we talked about, I think, Ryan, maybe in the last episode, not everybody's seeing them in person. And they are maybe told this is going to be a national champion, this is going to be this or that, and it shows up and it's nowhere close to that. And that is a problem. And I can assure you, and I'm sure most of the successful breeders already understand this, if you can be honest with those buyers, they're going to decide whether that one fits them or not, or if they want to take the risk versus reward. And the fact that you were upfront with them, they're going to appreciate it, they're going to respect it, and they're going to come back to you. So it makes sense to do it. There's no downside.
And then the final one, do be kind and grateful, and don't be entitled. Kind and grateful goes a long way with everybody, and I think we forget it a lot of the times. I cannot tell you how grateful I think that we all should be that we get to take part in this industry that I am firmly convinced is the best possible place to raise a young kid. I think it has some of the greatest people that you could ever want to meet that will go out of their way to help you. And these kids have opportunities that other kids do not. And I think a lot of times that we are not grateful enough for it. And that shows because we're not kind, and we should be more kind. I know that sounds pretty simple, but we can all do better in this area. Don't be entitled. Very few of the people that love this and do this know how close we were to losing this whole thing a few years ago when Rona hit. But I'm telling you, we almost lost it. And there is no reason for any of us to be entitled, because something else could come. And it doesn't have to be a pandemic. It could be something completely different and take this all away from us in the blink of an eye. And we just walk around like this is owed to us. It's not. It is not in any single shape, form, or fashion. We are overwhelmingly lucky to have these opportunities, to have this industry. And if you think it is owed to you, you could find out real quickly how soon it's not.
Agreed 100%. Ryan, I think we're going to move on. We got disconnected, so I'm not sure where our time is, but I think we're getting a little long. The good thing is the question and answer is going to be a little bit shorter, but and I'm going to take the blame for this even in advance. Did I send you anything on a sponsor for Q&A?
No, you did not.
You did not receive any emails, right?
Nope.
So we do not have a sponsor for Q&A.
No, we do not. We do not.
Sponsored by Ryan Rash.
Right. Yeah.
He's got it covered this week. I apologize. I'm sure there's some in the emails, but I will try to dig through those. But last week I did a lot of things that I tried to do more things than I was capable of, and that's not very many. But yeah, we got a little disorganized for a while. With that said, the very first question, Ryan, remember I alluded to a question about the Houston steer. So I'm going to read this even though you've already addressed it, but I'm going to read it in the tense that it was sent to us in. Mm-hmm. So question and answer for Ryan. As a former grand champion, Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo steer exhibitor, what is your opinion on the steer selling for $1 million at Houston hyping it up all over social media, yet the kid only gets $75,000. Is $75,000 enough in your opinion? Thoughts on how Houston does their sales? Just an FYI, I also was a recipient of a $20,000 Houston scholarship and benefited from the way they do the auction, but now as an adult, I'm not sure if it's truly fair to the exhibitors. So I'm gonna rewind just a touch here. I take this question from this person's perspective, and I've seen nothing on the social media, so I don't know. I think they're taking it as though that putting it out. He takes it as they're putting it out there that exhibitor is receiving all of that $1 million. But maybe there's some other way to take it. I don't know.
No, I don't think he took it that way because he said that he.
No, I mean, I know he doesn't. I apologize that Houston's putting it out there, giving people the impression that the exhibitor is doing that.
I don't think they are. I think maybe the media, I do not think the Houston Stock Show is putting that out there at all in any way.
I think it's in their favor to do the opposite.
Right. Because it would sound there's going to be very few people that are going to get behind giving a 17-year-old, 16-year-old kid $1 million because they had a steer. All right, let's just get real.
And a lot of people behind giving $75,000 and a bunch of scholarships. So I don't think maybe the media is getting it construed or whatever, or maybe because there's just a lot of posts about the steer bringing $1 million in Houston. And then somebody started whatever. And I stated this at the front. Yes, I am a former Grand Champion steer exhibitor. I got the same amount that kid's going to get. I think I was the second one where it was capped. But I knew it. And I knew it going in. And I wouldn't trade that one memory in my life for any other one up to this point. That was the show that I wanted to win more than them all. A lot of people say it's not fair. Well, is it fair for one kid to get $1 million for a steer? I don't know. I know you know the rules, you know the amounts, you know all these things. You enter into that show under those rules. I think $75,000 is a lot to a high school kid. Some people argue that all the Grand Champions and all the species should get a scholarship at some point. Okay, maybe. I don't know. They all have the opportunity to apply for those scholarships. I did not. Like I said earlier, I never applied for a scholarship. I knew that I did not need a scholarship to go to school, and other people did. But I still could have applied for them. I had great grades. I had all this other stuff, but I didn't. All these other kids, all the former Grand Champions and all the species at Houston, they can apply just like every other kid. It's a competition, just like the steer show, just like the hog show. You enter into it. Some get scholarships, some do not. You can beat this horse all these ways because I travel out of the state probably as much as anybody that's at the heartbeat of the Texas shows. I think we sound like a bunch of whiny babies. And I think we have so many more opportunities than all of these other states combined that, just like I said, be grateful, not entitled. I think we do a piss poor job of that as exhibitors in the state of Texas. And so this has been this way. Houston is the show that you know exactly what you're going to get. They increased the premium money this year. And maybe they won't this year. I don't know. For a long time, they've sent bonus checks after the sale has been done. So I'm completely fine with it. I can see other people's points, but I don't have to agree with those points. Fair enough. I can accept that without too much trouble. And I think I'm going to go look after this and see what that is. But I'm getting the impression this is a big deal, and we need to just take a deep breath. Mm-hmm. Ryan, the next question is not we are not qualified to answer, but we're going to try.
Then why did you pick it?
Ryan, did you know what time I got home and what time we started recording?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Do you want to know when I found this question?
I don't care.
Somewhere in a do and don't time.
Oh, okay.
Advantages and disadvantages of height in the show ring. We not saying you're not tall. You're not real tall. And
I'm not. I'm the tallest member of my family, but that says nothing because the next tallest member of my family is 5'4". So,
So I don't know that we've ever experienced this on a personal level, but we're going to do our best. My son is 6'3", and he seems to tower over his steers. We have tried different positioning, body styles, techniques, but still had a judge tell him his height affects his placing because he makes a steer look little. I am not saying that there's not an illusion there, but I also do not
That
believe.
judge is stupid.
Yes, I was trying to be kind. Thank you.
That judge is stupid.
Thank you. Okay, there's more to the question. Besides having him show on his knees, what would you both recommend we do? We look for a long-legged steer to balance each other out.
No.
Have at it. No, please don't.
Oh, okay. First off, the judge that told you that is dumb, so don't listen to that person. Secondly, him showing on his knees would be really dumb. I don't care if you're short, if you're skinny, if you're tall, if you're overweight, muscular, thin. You should never select a show animal of any species, of any kind, of any whatever, because of what your showman looks like. Is that plain enough, Dale?
Yeah, but I have an exception.
What?
A 7, 8, 9-year-old small child with a big, not a type of goat, but a goat that's going to get way heavier than them. I prefer they stayed smaller.
There's 8, 9-year-olds in the state of Texas dragging around 1,400-pound steers.
I understand that. I'm just saying it gives the child more times than not a little more positive experience, but not I'm not saying quality. Just ideally, maybe select the appropriate age that or size that maybe is not going to be over 100 pounds. But
I think Dale's wrong.
I think this steer thing is insanely crazy. No, and I get it. There's little kids that can do a phenomenal job, but on occasion, maybe it's better to have a small one in the goat situation. Okay.
Wrong,
but I could not agree with you more about
do not select any. He's 6'3". Let him stand out there as natural as he can at 6'3" and show his damn calf.
Yeah, don't change your body. Don't just show it.
Just show. Yeah.
This one, Ryan, I don't believe it. Maybe we've had this question before because I think I remember it, but it definitely came in on a new feed. So maybe we're going to have it again. This one's for you.
Oh, great.
Love the podcast. Listen every week. What size county fair is the smallest you would judge? I've judged some pretty little ones.
I mean, yeah, I don't. Is this a question or
question. Question. What size?
I don't ask them what size their county fair is. So this isn't even. I mean, I'm not saying that this person is dumb for asking this question, but like, it's not when the county fair calls up and asks me, I'm like, well, how many animals do you have? Well, I never asked that.
There's a perception out there that a lot of judges are not going to do a smaller show.
Maybe there are some, but I think he was asking us, and that is not a question.
This is you.
No, that is not a question that I have ever asked. I have never asked anybody when deciding whether I will or will not take any show. Well, how many animals do you have? I have said this, and I'll say this again. There is no such thing as a small show. There are small-minded sorters, and people that have to ask how many head are going to be at the show, they are a small-minded sorter, and they don't need to judge any show of any size.
Now, if this question would have been addressed to me, Ryan, I would come back with, that is great. If there's 10 head there between 4 species, and I'm getting paid X amount to do it, have at it. All good. No, I think you're dead on with that. And it did remind me, you made a comment about we don't make money judging shows, and
we do not.
So true. And I did text Ryan some math on a show that I'm going to be judging, and this is my fault. I booked a flight very, very late, so it was totally my fault, and I take full responsibility, and I'll suck it up for such. But even when you do book ahead of time, I'm not saying that you don't
make money judging shows.
You may get 1 or 2 a year that you think, holy cow, that was pretty good. But the next 10, good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Ryan, that was good. I appreciate it. I think we got our do's and don'ts, part 3, part 2.5, whatever we want to call it. But I appreciate those of you out there for listening. Until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?